Sarah, I love bourbon. I know you love bourbon.
I do.
I'm pretty sure these guys love bourbon, but it's not always a bed of roses, you know?
No, there's definitely some stuff that annoys us.
Yeah, it just gets under our skin.
Almost like trends that we don't like to see.
Almost like
there's 5 of them.
5 of them right now. It's Bourbon Night. Hello, I'm Chad.
I'm Sarah.
And if you are new to the channel and you like things like lists and uncorkings and flight fights and info and event coverage and so much more, come on over. The Bourbon is fine. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get this number shifted a little bit to where more people who watch these videos are actually subscribed. I'm doing a little experiment. I'm going to do this for 30 days, see how it works.
I'm just here to drink.
As we said, we love bourbon, but there are some trends that we kind of see that personally we don't love. We're normally very positive people.
Sure, but I mean, everyone has their preferences, and I think it's only fair that we talk about, like, trends aren't as much of like, when I think of trend, I'm thinking of trendy. And that's not so much what we're talking about. It's more of just like happenings that we see more and more that we're just like, eh.
Let's get into number 1. Now, it should go without saying, but of course we're going to say it. These are our own personal thoughts and feelings. There are different types of whiskey drinkers out there in the world, which is what makes whiskey so beautiful. So if you don't agree with these, that's completely fine. If there's others that you feel we didn't cover, please let us know down below. We want to start a conversation about this. Starting with number 1 though, it is bottled cocktails. Come on. This right here is the Jim Beam Hot Toddy. It's hot garbage. I'm sorry, Jim Beam.
Didn't we do a video on this?
No, I love you.
Ooh, it was rough.
I think one of the best ones we've had, still isn't superb, is the Jefferson's Barrel Aged Manhattan. It's decent.
It's definitely on the better end of the offerings, in our opinion. But like I've started to see like like canned cocktails too, like pre-made, old fashions or something. And I'm like, man, an old fashioned.
An old fashioned is a lot of times a 3-ingredient cocktail. Just basically, our public service announcement is
PSA.
Take the time to make the cocktail yourself. It's going to taste better. Even if you have no faith in yourself as a cocktail maker, it will taste better.
You know, you can make most things with a little bit of fruit juice. 1, a homemade simple syrup, which is just sugar and water. 2, a little bit of bitters. There's a million flavors and you can get them delivered straight to your house.
Experiment, it's fun.
3, and a spirit.
We're always gonna make our own versus popping a bottle. Popping bottles.
All right, so number 2 on the list is probably gonna be a conversation starter. This is low proof limited edition bourbon. So these are the things that come out, once or twice a year, and there's a huge clamor around getting them, and they're in those high prices.
Yeah.
You gotta wait in line, you gotta enter a lottery, and it's 90 proof. And the reason why that mainly bugs me, Chad, is because these are often touted as being the older, more mature, with all these amazing flavors and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that sounds great. But then you've added water to take it down to 90-ish proof.
I want to taste it.
Now I feel like you've honestly just slapped that delicious flavor that all that bourbon has spent all that time.
The taste right out of its mouth.
Now I know there's a lot of people out there that like sub 100 proof.
Hey, we're both drinking a 90 proofer. Right now, this is the new Evan Williams 1783.
But my thing is,
and it's great, but it's $20.
Right, when we're paying that much money and we're going through that much effort to get the bottle, let me decide.
Yeah.
And we saw this recently with that, what was it, the Wild Turkey?
Oh, the Father and Son 13 year, which is 86 proof.
We were so excited because it's 13 year.
Especially when Wild Turkey, we feel, really shines around that, guess what, 101 proof in that area. Even the 90 proof that we've had was it 90 proof that's a 13 year, or it's around there? It's the export.
It's up, I think, a little. But
it's at least higher than 86 proof. Wild Turkey below 90 proof for us is just...
It's a no-go.
Hard. Now, again, and I feel like we have to keep beating this drum. Personal preferences here, because they're going to be so few bottles, and we understand the economics behind it. If you add more water, you get more bottles, you can sell more, you can make more money.
I get it.
But like, the Double Eagle Very Rare at 90 proof.
The first release, was 90 proof.
At least it's going up.
What was it, 20 years? And then same thing with the Johnny Fitzgerald. You saw that amazing product come out, also 20 years old, and it was at 90 proof.
But
and for
they'll
me,
say there's so little left of it. Well, just let even fewer people experience a more superior version of it.
Right, and then didn't they do something similar with like the Last Drop? But it was, I think, at a higher proof. But there was so few bottles.
It was also 90 proof.
Oh man, see, that's what I'm saying. They're like, oh, it's the Last Drop, but that's not true because you stretched it. I mean, it is true, but it's not. let me taste what it really tastes like. Right. I don't know. Not that you have to keep it at cask strength every time.
No.
I understand. But a nice 107, 110.
Even 100 proof.
Let a consumer decide. Do they want to just add a couple drops of water or none at all or a whole ice cube? Like, that should be up to you and me.
I'm tired of you making up my mind for me.
Yeah, stop telling me what I want. I'll tell you what I want.
Teach your own.
I want to hear what number 3 is.
Number 3. Okay, before we move on with the rest of the countdown, we want to hit pause and tell you about our home on the internet. It is whiskyambitions.com. It's where you can get the Glencairns that we're drinking from, the t-shirt that Sarah, and Chad is wearing, the water glasses that we're drinking from. We also have rocks glasses, copitas, sweatshirts, and hoodies, and more always coming soon. That's whiskyambitions.com.
You can become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight and join our community. There's little as $1 a month. You get first crack at barrel picks, access to events, patron-only podcasts, after the episode exclusives, and more. That is a tongue twister.
There you
Just
go.
So you know.
All right, on with the countdown. At number 3 is celebrity whiskeys. Now, we just did an episode recently about this where we ranked them, and we, because of the comments, have even more to buy to do a second edition of it. But generally, we're talking about, and there's always exceptions to the rule, but we're talking things like this. Young, low proof, without much thought put into it, but it has a celebrity endorsement.
It feels like you're getting a $20 product, and I think that might be being a little generous sometimes. But then you're paying for the names. It's like, come on. I mean, just stop pulling marketing levers. Like, the general bourbon community now is immune to that, right?
Right.
This is more of the people who only drink bourbon occasionally, but they love these celebrities, so they're gonna go for it. But like, if that's your first experience with bourbon, like you love these celebrities, so you buy a bourbon based on that, I feel like that's so hurtful to their future potential journey.
You've lost that customer more than likely because they tried something that...
Now they think they don't like bourbon.
Yeah.
But of course there are exceptions, like you said, like we do love 3-chord. This is Neil Girardo. So tell me his accolades, because I don't want to get yelled at again in the comments. People are big Neil Girardo fans, and I made a joke.
He's multifaceted. He is a composer, songwriter, musician. He's not just married to
least of all
Pat Benatar, but a celebrity who is involved with this whiskey, and they make really good stuff. We tried these blind, and 3-chord really showed up in the top 5. As we said, it's not always true, but for the majority of the celebrity whiskeys, and you can look at the comments of our episode, most people are like, they're all gimmicks. Well, not all of them.
I get wanting to have your own brand and being excited about it and stuff, but at the same time, like, if you're not willing to put in the work, like, I feel like he's probably invested in this, or he at least found a company to work on the spirit for him that's super invested in it, instead of just being like, what's the cheapest, fastest way I can get a product out with my name on it, because I want a bourbon with my name on it.
Right.
Like, that's not cool. That's not cool. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
And don't buy it.
Just stop.
Number 4 on the list is a lack of transparency. And this comes into play a lot when we're talking about sourced things, when we're talking about blended things, and that's nothing new. You know, we've actually started to see more companies come out and put mash bills on the label, or at least the states that it's sourced from, and if you do enough, digging and thinking about it, you can probably figure it out. But like, we've been seeing a lot more of these repurposed lots, Chad.
Yeah, repurposed lots. So the big example here is 15-year totes from Jim Beam, and there's also been different ones from Heaven Hill, and the various numerous labels that pop up because of it. They're all 15-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and they're all pulling from the same place. Now,
however,
this can get very nitty-gritty. This can be probably the biggest discussion, because...
Well, I don't think you or I have a problem with 15-year-old Jim Beam.
We do not. We also don't have a problem with source whiskey.
No.
A lot of people will just completely write it off if the distillery is not making their own. We don't do that. The issue is when a company lets a big lot of their barrels go out, and then places just put it in a bottle and try to put a story on it and say that
it's one of a kind.
This is one of a kind. So the the list that you now see scrolling on your screen are labels that are either sourced primarily Jim Beam or Heaven Hill, that have 15-year offerings out there that you can see at various different proof levels and price points. And it's kind of just like, if I want to try these, where do I start? Which of these umpteen ones do I go for? Do I go for this proof or this proof? What did they do to it? Did they treat it any differently? Did they batch these a certain way? And that really anchors back to transparency. Just let us know how you handled them, so as consumers we can make more of an informed decision before we buy your very expensive 15-year whiskey that a lot of people argue I could get that in a Jim Beam 15-year for under $100 easily.
That's a completely fair argument. I think I also have an issue with transparency mainly because we're seeing a lot of these craft distilleries that started 4 and 5 years ago when, we were really in the upswing of the boom. That started, they weren't able to just put out their own distillate at that point, which makes sense because they just started, so they were sourcing. Now they're getting to the point where their stock is coming of age, but they're not letting people know that they're switching from their stock or from the source stuff to their own stock, which I feel like if I'm buying a bottle consistently over the past 3 years and all of a sudden I pick it up and it tastes different one day, that's a huge red flag for me. So just transparency in general.
But one thing that kind of does grind my gears, and again, this is more of a marketing thing, and we understand you have to market your whiskey to sell it, but not to call any particular brand out, but I have to. In this example, Hickory Hill 15-year cask strength on their Facebook page says, meet our newest addition to the Hickory Hill lineup, a cask strength bourbon naturally aged for 15 years to create a whiskey like no other, except all the other ones that are on the list.
That are just like it. Yeah. Don't say like no other. You can say like an exceptional whiskey with blah, 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 blah. You can say that in another way that's not just a flat out not true,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I get some people can't be transparent completely because they sign NDAs when they source.
Sure.
But as much as you can be, the consumer is getting smarter.
Mm-hmm.
You all are already very smart.
Yeah.
You know how to read labels. We know how to Google things. Don't treat us like we're stupid.
Yeah, customers are asking a lot more questions than they used to just 10 years ago.
It's a major turnoff by a brand to be treated like we don't know.
Stop it and start being more transparent.
Quit it.
Please. And lastly, and this is another big discussion one, actually.
I know, I feel like we're gonna get a little...
Whiskey awards. Now, here's the thing. Whiskey awards, handled correctly in the right hands, can be a great thing. But when your whiskey awards basically give everyone a medal...
Who enters.
Who enters.
A participation award, if you will.
Then that's a problem. Now, here's the thing. Whiskey awards are a business model. People pay to enter, people pay to buy the medals that they are awarded, but they want it for marketing purposes.
Right.
But you walk down the bourbon aisle and you see just about everybody with a neck tag that says gold, double gold, platinum, whatever it might be, and the consumer is starting to be like, well, is everything award winning? This one bottle over here doesn't have a tag on it, so should I not try that one?
Right. And when you think about it, Chad, it seems to be a slippery slope too for brands and the award companies alike, because if you snub an entire lineup from a brand one year, well, they're paying. You rely off of brands paying to come back. So you want to make sure they come back next year, right? Because that's your business model.
Right.
So you can't just snub everything that they give you. So you got to give them some awards to make sure they keep coming back. And
you have to be diplomatic about it, which is not what
we want. Taste.
Yeah.
We want awards based on taste.
And then the other thing that comes with it is the Henry McKenna example. It was always on the shelf, overlooked. We bang its drum.
$28.99.
We would bang that drum a lot.
It was great.
For a few years beforehand, and then it won Best Bourbon of the Year, and now it's like $50, $100.
Limit one per person.
Some places, and it's hard to get now. So I think just the fallout of what happens with these whiskey awards is also kind of something that we're just over. There are some great rays of hope out there. The Ascot Awards that just started this year.
Fred.
We asked questions, we looked into that, and Fred told us about some things that happen differently. Not just everyone who enters gets an award.
Right, there's a panel, there's scoring.
It seems to be a better model. So it's going to be interesting to follow that award system and see how it matures. But that seems to be, like a good little ray of hope out there. And to be honest with you, we haven't researched all the ones. We were kind of talking about one major one that's out there on the West, but we have not looked into all of them. Obviously, might be something that we do for a separate episode in the future. Mm-hmm. So we're just kind of talking in generalities. So please keep that in mind.
Sure.
Well, there we go.
I feel better. I feel like I just
Does everyone feel better? Hopefully.
However many minutes venting about my grievances.
Hopefully everyone is now, they feel, vented instead of enraged. That's not,
we don't want you to be mad.
That's not what we're trying to do here. So.
We would mostly like these to be conversation starters, right? Because we're all a part of the same community. So if you don't see that some of these things are bothersome to you and why you think they're actually maybe beneficial, tell us about it in the comments.
Absolutely.
Or what did we miss? I feel like somebody out there is going to put finished products in the comments of like they don't like that.
Or
and
craft.
Or craft, and that's their trend that
craft and the prices of craft.
But you know,
yeah.
we want to hear what you guys think too, so let us know. But
well, we'll see. But that is where we will leave it. Thanks so much, guys. Again, as we said at the top of the show, if you haven't subscribed already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's also suggestions of other videos right down here. We hope to see you over there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Shad.
Okay. Until next time, drink more bourbon.